Hi. So what the heck is Hypertufa? You've probably seen it. Maybe that's what's brought you to me. I wish you'd give yourself a little bit of time to listen to this because you nearly need a background before you decide to try a project. And before I go any further, let me just show you what the idea is. This is a Hypertufa right here. That's the idea. My first one, not the greatest, but a start of it. So is basically Hypertufa is basically light cement. You add things to cement to make it, apparently there's a real thing called tufa, which is rare and hard to get. But the Hypertufa is the idea of taking Portland cement specifically, because it's very fine grained, and adding other things to it than just sand, and you end up with a much lighter cement, which if you want to work with cement, it's better if it's lighter. And I did. But I really want to be honest and let you know here. I got what I know about Hypertufa from a lady in Georgia named Helen Wyatt, Wyatt. So I want you to please go to her site on YouTube and subscribe or say you like her, whatever. You don't have to bother doing that to me. I'm not on any quest to be a great big giant YouTuber. But she's the one that introduced me to the idea of Hypertufa. But I think before you start it, as I found out, you need a little bit more background information on it. And so you're going to see part 2 where I talk about it and I start a project. I hadn't done it before, and I began to realize that there are a little bit of pitfalls that you have to work with. Plus, there's some things you can do with it that I haven't seen anybody else do with it. So as you go through my parts, you're going to see me do something like making a slip out of it. Slip is when you just use the cement and water it down. You can almost paint with it. So there's other things that you can do. So I just wanted you to get the idea that Hypertufa, I know, strange word, but it's just light cement. And if you really want to see somebody working in it, you want to look at Helen Wyatt, a lovely lady, a little bit older than I am, living in Georgia, and she's just willing to try anything. And I'm not trying to diss her in any way. I just think there's a little bit, maybe some things that could have been mentioned when you're first working with it, which she may have forgotten, or maybe she doesn't have that problem. Maybe just I did. But I want to present it to you in part 2. So at least look at that, and then I'll talk about the ingredients that you need and everything when you look at my part 2. Okay, thanks. Bye. Hi. So what I'm trying to do today is I'm trying to make sort of cement pots, but instead of cement, it's called Hypertufa, Hypertufa. And this is what you do. First, you start with cement, and it's in here. I put it in here with the plastic, my son did, just so it's easy to get to. It's in a bag, and you must get Portland cement. And the reason you do that is because it's the finer grade. You don't want it all lumpy, and you'll still kind of have to make it smoother a little bit, maybe with your hands. Then you need just sand, plain sandbox sand. And then you need peat moss and perlite. And that's kind of the stuff you see when you get potting soil. It's a little white stuff. So you need that. And the other things I got is I got a turntable, which I got to get it to turn, of course. I'm trying to cover it. I got to figure out how to do that. You probably need a trowel and a scooper. I kind of got a deluxe one there, but that's just me. Cover up your work surface, and then gloves, and then a brush, I think, and some little picks I think would be good. And then you need something to put on the outside. They said sea glass, but I wasn't able to get to Dollar Tree to buy sea glass. So first what I'm going to make is going to be this way, and then we'll see what it's going to be. And then you have your mold, which you just take whatever it is that you want. Mine's a little waste paper basket, and you just cover it with some kind of a plastic bag, and then you can start on it. I wanted to give you the amounts that you would use if you're going to make Hypertufa. And I'm using Helen Wyatt's recipe because I looked at all the others and I think hers makes sense. I do think you don't have to be absolutely exact because you don't. So it's basically equal. So in other words, if you do 4 parts of the cement, Portland cement, you're going to do 4 parts of the perlite, you're going to do 4 parts of the peat moss, and then just a little bit of sand, maybe 1 part is all you need. It's very loose, it doesn't have to be exact, and you add the water. I just make mine a little wetter than you see her do it. Maybe because I worked in clay and sculpting a little bit longer, I don't know. But once I create a video where I'm going to show you me making it, which I haven't done yet, you'll see how mine a little bit different. But please look at her YouTube area, because she does a lot of hypertufas in there, and you can also look at all the different kinds. They're beautiful. I'm just beginning, but I'm very interested in it because I like to sculpt. Thank you. I also wanted to add that this right now isn't a how-to video. I'm not showing you how I mix it. I'm just showing you the general way that it looks and how it turns out. Then I will do a video that's going to have me mixing it and showing me putting it on. This is just an introduction to the idea. Go to Helen Wyatt if you want to see her actually doing it until I do it. But it's just an idea that you're seeing the word hypertufa, and I wanted you to understand a little bit more about what you were hearing or seeing. Okay, so this is doing it on the outside, which I don't know how that's going to work. And then this is doing it on the inside. So I don't know. There were a lot of problems with it that the people on the videos don't show you on YouTube. One of them is when it's a bag like that covering it, like you see there, the cement doesn't want to stick to it. It wants to flop away. So they don't talk about that, but I'm going to talk about it because that's a problem. But anyway, I'm going to let this dry. It can take up to 6 or 7 days. I'm not going to let it go that long. Once it's pretty firm, I can take it out and let it dry, the rest unpacked. But yeah, it's not an immediate thing. But it was fun, and I ran a fan so it wasn't too hot in here. And so we'll just have to see. Hypertufa wasn't too messy. I put everything in this, so that's okay. So we shall see. Okay, this is day 2 of Hypertufa. And though it isn't completely dry, the smaller one, and because the sunroom is such a dry heat, it got to the point where I could take it out of the mold. So this was the mold, and it was in here, and it came out super, super, super easy. So then you have this, which it was upside down, and so I just pulled it, the other way, and it had a lip on it. And I made the lip jagged, so I broke off pieces. You can see here I broke off pieces. And I then began, so when you break off the pieces, it kind of looks like this, see, rough? So then I made slip, which is just cement with a lot of water, and then you can begin to see how it's much smoother now? Because I put slip on there. So you can do anything you want. You can break off pieces, use slip. I also had a hole in the bottom I didn't want, so I used some slip. I don't know if you can even see it. And I just covered the hole. So you really got a lot you can do. I'm going to let it dry now. You can see inside. And I'm thinking I want to put this glass maybe on here. I haven't really decided yet if I do or not, but I think I do. And then you have to kind of spray and kind of wipe these rocks off. So they have to get you gotta wipe them off. I'm gonna have to do it with a paper towel maybe tomorrow. Now here's the other one. Here it is. Ooh, well, that was bad. Now I've got to go pick that all up. But anyway, so this is in an oval thing, and this is going to take a couple more days before I can decant it, and then we'll see. So far successful.